This is the Intermission Podcast.
We want to get to know our homeboys and homegirls and invite you into our space.
It's a whole mood of positivity.
The Intermission Podcast.
And we're back for part 2 of the Intermission Podcast, Homegirl Check-In. So let's jump back in. In the family, I guess I'll go. So I have been quarantined with my elderly parents, which is always interesting.
Fun.
But then we have my sister's kids, and it is 4 of them. They're all named after boroughs or places in New York. We have a theme. I don't want to say their names because of privacy concerns. But yeah, it's been interesting to have the gamut of ages. And I am the only one of my age group. I'm in my 30s, and it is just me. Everybody else is 60 and up, and everybody else is 16 and below. So it has been a lot I just want to shout out all the people with kids. You know, we was laughing at y'all. We was not laughing, but like, you know, like all the like, oh, some of y'all gonna find out the teacher was telling the truth about your kids, but like, I take it back. Like, it's just, y'all be doing a lot, like, to try to find a schedule. And here's the thing, like, I don't know if y'all, like, when I was younger, I didn't feel like adults needed to entertain me. Like, it was more so like, y'all go find something to do. You know what I mean? And me and my friends we would play for hours until somebody was like, it's time to come eat. Did y'all go to the bathroom? Wash your hands.
Right.
These kids on these devices, boy, they be playing and watching the YouTubes and the games and this, and then when they're done, they want you to make them a plan, a schedule, and find them something to do. I'm like, did y'all not? We used to play in our imaginations for hours, like pick up some sticks and build something with some rocks, and like they need stuff now. Like, I'm like, what? How is this? And so it's been a lot of like, Auntie, can you do this with us? Can you do that? Crafts, this. I'm like, listen, I'm trying to work, okay? I'm trying to come up in the COVID. But, you know, we've had to take time to adjust. And kids are they're an adjustment. It's not their fault. They take energy. There's only so many things they can do for themselves. But it's a lot. So, and I'm glad to help my sister. My sister has surgery, so she's recovering, and the littlest one is 6, and so he hasn't seen her in like a month. So he's just confused. And just pray for the babies. The babies are confused, okay? It's enough that my sister has surgery, and he doesn't understand why he can't see his mom because he can't like jump on her like he normally would because he can hurt her. But then on top of that, he's like, we take him to the drive-in. Shout out to Michael Bakari Jordan for the drive-in. Thank you, LR Society. We appreciate it. But he's like, I'm gonna go to the real movie. Like, not like we keep telling him like it's closed. Like, he doesn't understand the concept of like the world is completely shut down because of the virus. Like, we go outside, you got to put a mask on, keep the mask on. I let him take it off every now and then. I think a white man tried to check me about that actually while we were walking the other day, but I was too busy trying to like keep them in line. But I felt like after the fact, I was like, in hindsight, I was like, I think he was trying to check me about these kids not having no mask on. But again, none of your business. I was like, you try to tell a 6-year-old and a 12-year-old keep their mask on. But they were doing all right. And then when we got to the lake where we were walking around, it was mad people. Some with mask on, a lot not though. So it just made me, you know, I have had to be in a different mindset of like, you have to be sensitive to kids at this time because I'm sure they're super confused.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to be able to go to school. They miss their friends. Like, it's like a whole thing. So it's put me in a different space. I also had to realize, you know, this is why I love you. I want to be married and be mom so bad. Here was me like, I don't want any of it. The men are too much. My dad, how my mother deals with my father some days, because I'm like, I will be the pop-off queen. It's just like you, Vaughn. Like, you got to have the right person. It would have to be the right person because I would be like, I'm going to read in here. Is everyone ready? Everyone get on your spectacles. Because I'm about to read today. So it just made me think of all the things that I just need to work on in terms of my emotional maturity and being sensitive to the babies. Like, my nephews took an unauthorized walk to 7-Eleven the other day when I had already told them no. And then they played both sides against the middle. They went to ask their granddad. What I said was, ask your granddad to take you. They interpreted it as, He said yes. So they walked to 7-Eleven by themselves. Mind you, my mother and I had just read about white men that were abducting black boys to torture and kill them, obviously. And it was like I was asleep because I'm taking these supplements that sometimes makes me go to sleep because it's kicking the toxins out of my body. And my parents were on the small group. So they were just gone. And like it was prime opportunity for somebody to snatch them and we would have been none the wiser. So of course when they got back, like, and the little one came, he was like, we walking to 7-Eleven. I said, no, you're not. I said, you're not. And I went to sleep because when the supplements kick in, there's really nothing I can do. I'm gone. And I woke up and they had really gone to 7-Eleven. And I was like, so then they were like, Grandpa said that we could. And then, so I read them. I was like, y'all play both sides of the middle. I have a problem with that. And then I was mad for like 2 days because I just felt disrespected at this point. Because I was like, so you just went and you asked a man if like he just overrode. Same thing. You overrode what I said and listened to the men and you outside walking around and I'm none the wiser. But it would have been my fault. Like it would have been like what you weren't watching. I was asleep. That's where I was. And I already told them no. Mm-hmm. So, it's kids. They want to do what they got to do because they want their way. But it was just one of those things where it was scary. And I think I realized walking around with them a couple of days ago, because they have a dog that we have now since we're watching them.
We have a lot happening over there.
It's a lot of things. And I wanted to bring it up because I know some of y'all are struggling. Like it was cool when it was just me and the parents and there was grown people around here and we could do what we want. But I'm like, it's a lot of elements. So I'm with all y'all that got a lot of elements at your house. So we walk in the dog and it's like, it's boys. Now boys have a completely different energy with girls. The girls are here now with the little boy and it's a different energy. But the boys, the oldest one is always trying to be hard and like, prove himself and do all that. So I'm walking the dog and walking is like therapeutic for me. It's like my little just getaway time. I got my music, I'm going. But they want to play. They got to be jumping and touching the trees and jumping and touching the sign and running in the street and doing all manner of stuff. I got to tell them, stay on the sidewalk. Don't walk in people's front yards because it's 2020 and they lynching people again. You just never know. People are going to be offended if they're going to pull out a gun. And so I realized, I was like, my anxiety is bad when I take them on these walks because they don't understand. And they're kids. It's like, you don't want to scare them. Like, but it's like, these are all things that like, you have to constantly be thinking about in order to keep people safe. So we ended up, I was mad for like 2 days. I pretty much ignored them for a whole day. So they was feeling some type of way. But then I called my therapist. See, here's the thing. This is what I want to tell people who are struggling to quarantine. You got to know your triggers. You got to know when you're about to go off because I was going to go into a depressive episode. And not just about the kids and like the disrespect that I felt and like things about my parents and like their marriage and all kinds of things that I don't have time to get into. I pay somebody. But it's one of those things where it's just like, you got to know your limitations and have preventative measures. Because I also think like the weight of the quarantine set in as well to be like, I already knew 2020 was canceled, but it's like, okay, if the quarantine is a tunnel, this is the dark part of the tunnel. Like we in it now. It's just, we in it. It's dark. We're planted, buried, not dead, but planted. We putting out seeds. We trying to stay creative and do all these things. But
we're gonna bloom. We're gonna bloom.
Listen, we gonna bloom at some point, but it's really real. This is the darkest part. And so all of that was setting in, and I was like, I'm really mad. I'm feeling a lot of emotions, and I immediately was like, I called my therapist and I was like, yo, do you have some time tomorrow? Because I gotta get some ish off my chest. That's what I said. He was like, yeah, so what time works for you? I was like, great. So I just sat in the car the next day and I talked to him for about an hour. And then I caught up on Polos with y'all. We talked, we caught up, and I listened to music. I was just in the car having my own time and space. So I just want to talk to the people in the quarantine with a lot of elements in your household, in your life. Your emotions are doing the most. You just got to find your happy places. And it's hard because normally I know my triggers and like what I do. So I have plans. Like I go to the beach, like I rest. I go to the park, I walk. All of that is in flux now because everything is in flux. So you got to know what works for you. If you're a bath person, take a bath, put some candles on, put the lights down low, put the music on, kick the kids out, do something. You know what I mean? So you just kind of got to know what your limits are and your limitations so you don't find yourself crawled up in a ball because it's too much and they won't leave you alone and they knocking on the door and they calling your name and they begging you for Panda Express. I don't know why the kids like Panda Express so much. But anyway, That's my that's my tall tale of I'm really in it with my family with a lot of elements, and I love them, but people get on your nerve, and that's just a normal part of
It's just
life.
a lot. It's just
And it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things.
a lot of people, animals. You got your birds,
Animals.
you got
I
everything.
got my bird. I love my son though. He's the best. He's the most stable because he knows how things are done.
Yeah.
Except when he starts chirping early in the morning, I'd be like, "Boy, be quiet." Even today, the kids were sleeping in, and my dad, their mom called, and he was like, "You want to talk to your family?" And he was going click clack and all that down the street. I said, "No, no, no." I said, "Everyone is asleep. This is the most quiet we're gonna have throughout the whole day. Don't go in there and wake them up. When they wake up, they can call their mama. Don't do this right now." So I understand. I feel y'all. Y'all with kids, homeschooling. Listen, the babies ain't going back to school. I really feel horrible for y'all. They're not going back. It's too dangerous. If you're sending your kids back to school, God bless them. But it's enough. We don't know enough about the virus. So I'm pulling for y'all.
Kids separate, like if you actually see like people who have done like model like informational,
It's impossible.
It looks like the apocalypse. Like
somebody was
bad. Like
like somebody was saying they're gonna want to trade masks. You know what I'm saying? Like little kids don't. The concept of germs. Like if I tell you how many times I've had to tell my nephew just this, don't wash your hands in the kitchen sink because now your germs from your hands are gonna be in the kitchen sink where we cook food. Then when he eats, little kids can't never just sit down. They gotta like jump around too. So he goes and he picks up the dog and then goes back to eat. And I have to be like, so you have to sanitize your hands, right? He's like, ugh, he's 6. So I'm like, there's no way if he can't even do this basic stuff while in the house. Can you imagine him being at school? You want to hug your friends. They're used to socializing in a particular way. They're going to be like, you have a Spider-Man mask. I have a Batman mask. You have a Black Panther mask. I have a Superman mask. They just, it's
Trading
not.
like trading cards. Like, let's play Pogs. I want your mask. Whoever runs over there, I bet you your mask.
Right. Kids come home like, where'd that
Parents go.
where'd that mask come from? That's not
Listen,
the mask.
when you send your kids with a jacket to school and then they come back and you like, what happened to the jacket? I don't know.
Christian will come home with a different shirt on. Me and Chandler switched. What? Go to bring Chandler his shirt back tomorrow and get yours back. What are you talking about? Child, this is
it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And
I'm gonna send y'all a TikTok from this teacher I follow, and it was 2 teachers. One was like, okay, kids, put your mask on, and the other teacher was duetting her, and she was like, okay, and she was like putting it on her elbow, putting it on her forehead. And I'm like, yeah, because babies are not going to want to have that on all day.
All day.
We don't want to have them on all day.
Nope. And they play too much at the end of the day. They play too much. They
my friends.
We all miss our friends. They're going to want to hug and do all the stuff they was normally doing, especially if they're at the age where they got little boyfriends and little girlfriends. They be want to hold hands. You can't, you know what I mean? It's too many elements that you can't police. So that's my spiel. I feel y'all. If y'all have a lot of people in your house, it's a lot of personalities to manage, but protect your energies, protect yourself. We want you to make it through the quarantine and the COVID sane and in one piece. So I understand. And just keep the babies lifted. It's a lot. It's a lot for us as adults. You hear us, we be like, I don't know today. I can't. So they're feeling all that stuff. Be careful of your teenagers. Some of them, they be going through depressive episodes and all kinds of things are going on. So just keep the babies lifted and pray for me. Okay.
Yeah, if you're going through it, imagine the teen who can't
listen.
They don't know how to
process. They don't have the words.
Process that stuff. Exactly.
So it's a lot of things.
To their parent, most teenagers don't want to. It's great when the teenagers do have that relationship where they do want to talk to the parent. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times they be like, I don't want to talk to you about this. About the fact that I'm stuck in here and I can't go on a date with my little boo.
Right. You're getting on my nerves, Mom.
You're getting on my nerves. I just want to cheer.
And it's 4 of them, so we have 3 of them now. But when they at home, I'm like, I don't. And then it always just makes me think of my sister. I was like, how does she do this all the time with these kids? And she be saying, she's like, it's just too many of them. Like they got she don't let them run her though. She be like, what? They ain't gonna run me. So like, what I say goes, but. It's a lot. It's draining on your energy. So I'm happy to help. I'm happy we have a supportive family unit. God has provided in the COVID. We was out here we was always spending a good amount of money at Costco, but now we feeding multiple people and don't listen. It was like a $700 bill between me and my mom. We split it. So because we had to buy them toys, we bought the dog toys. It was like a whole thing to make sure everyone is properly accommodated.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like we get bored of electronics, they get bored of electronics. Like there's only so many movies you can watch, so many TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to keep them occupied. You got to make them read. You got to make them keep their education up. And I was trying to tell them, I was like, this is a cool time. You get to sort of create your own curriculum. Learn what you want to learn. It's not like you gotta, you know what I mean, be stuck to learning what we was talking about the other day, geometry and pre-calculus. Like you might not use that. Like
Right.
this, like learn some stuff you want to learn. So
Right.
that's that. Pray for
There's this YouTube called Crash Course. It might be really fun to put like the teenager on that one. Heck of fun. They go over many things. They're part of PBS. They may have a show that's on PBS, but this is the PBS online. But they have a YouTube called, again, it's Crash Course, and it's amazing. They even, because I was looking for something, someone asked me to send them like any videos about production and all our different positions in reality and stuff like that. And I was like, I have no idea. Like this stuff is not really, it's kind of difficult to explain like in a video. Like nobody wants to hear that. But Crash Course did a pretty good job.
Well, that's good.
That's how I found it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, they had like maths in there. They had all kinds of stuff. And I was like, this is really good. So, yeah, maybe put the kids on Crash.
And that's good for some grown people too. I mean,
it's really good for
COVID. So
I have them still in my
saved.
favorite or bookmark because they go through different levels of high math, and I want to watch all of them. So
ooh,
yeah,
all the things. So yeah, that's me. Jess, what you got? What you got to share with us?
We kind of segued in there, like
segue.
Your girl. I've been furthering my education, and so I'm going through like that's when we talk about these maths. I'm just like, yes, I'm like currently doing pre-calculus, which when I first started, I was like, I'm gonna die. What am I doing? And then somewhere around day 4, which was like the last day of our week, or day 3, I was like, I got this. Like the confidence kicked in. I was like, okay. Next quiz I took, I bombed. I was like, it's just a pop quiz. It's just fine. Like I'm not worried about a pop quiz, that exam though. But I'm actually really, really good at taking exams. I usually ace my exams, knock on wood.
Right.
But I expect to do it here too. And one of the benefits of being in the stay-at-home order is that I can have notes. Because usually you have to memorize all these formulas and all this stuff. And it's like, but now it's crazy because a lot of it from last week, which was 2 chapters, it's a lot. But I actually memorized a good portion of that.
Yes, come on,
like,
man.
oh, snap. Like, oh, it's just rolling. It's rolling late, but it's rolling.
Rolling. That's
well, I was like, if this was a normal semester, I would have it all down. My professor is incredible. Like, it's going good. So, yeah, I've decided to go finish something that I had always started. I actually moved out here to LA to go to Cal Poly Pomona, because I do very well at hands-on education. And there's only like 7 polytechnicals in the United States, and 2 are in California. One's San Luis Obispo, and then here, in Pomona. And I was like, oh, LA, let's go. It's not LA though.
Pomona's not LA. Love it though. Not
right.
LA.
Right. But for me, in Fresno, I was like working and going to school. So I was like, I want to work. I want to make some money, So I thought I could do that down here. And that was not the case. The job I took just ended up being a salary position. I ended up never going to school, So it is nice now to go back to that thing and pick it back up and finish it. So that is what I'm doing.
Well, shout out to everybody going back to school in this time, in school period. But yeah, it's because it's a rhythm, you know what I mean? And if you've been away from it for a while, once you get back, it's literally just riding a bike though. It's like, oh, I know how to do this, but just been some time. And keeping it motivated because you're not in class. That's the thing. Like computer learning is very different. I did that for my master's and it is different. I actually liked it better though. Like I was like, oh, I'm glad I wasn't doing this prior to, because I'd have been like, girl, I ain't going to nobody class. Like, oh, pop this little computer on. Let me do my little lectures and do my stuff and get out the way. But it's easier to get distracted. So shout out to you, sis. I know the struggle.
It really does suck though, because I'll be here, like, see, I have class 4 days out of the week. In this class in particular, we actually have to be on, like, we're sitting down in class, like how the kids usually have theirs now, like you got to sit there, your teacher's on Zoom or whatever. So 8 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. And most of the times we go to 12. He'd be like, we're not going to go to 12 all the time. We go to 12. But he does give us 2 30-minute breaks. And I sit there and scroll on my phone when he does. Some days when I'm being responsible, I start my homework, you know. But most of the days I ain't responsible. But it's good that I have to see him, because the other class that I took that I didn't have to see, I was so pissed off. She had us reading a textbook from cover to cover. I said, you ain't going to teach me though? Where's your lectures?
I want to see
you tell me and I'll take a test from what you tell me. I was so mad because technically, like, had we been in a classroom, I would have aced that class and I would have never read that book because I would have aced them from her lectures. You know, I would have skated by. But man, it made me take in that stuff. Hey, I don't like that.
Not this time.
I don't like that at all.
I like that at all.
All in all, it's going well. I found out it's going to take longer time than I had hoped. So I had a little breakdown about that.
But again, we got nothing but time, so.
and the professor today was like, yeah, so there's a chance you guys will be doing this for like, for the next 2 years, you're probably going to be taking your tests like this. And I was like,
that's real.
Yeah, that's for everything. Because when I took the acting class, he was like, get used to auditions being
like this.
We took a Zoom. He was like, this is what your auditions are going to be for.
But imagine 3 months ago, friends, we thought June 1st would be done. And here we are, like 2020.
Nope.
Well, here we are, and it's almost August.
I did not think my birthday was gonna come up and it'll be I was still.
Remember we were joking about, you were like, if my birthday comes up, I do not want a Zoom party if we still in the COVID. But we were joking about that, not thinking that her birthday was still gonna be in the COVID.
But then something in me, I was like, but you guys are so lucky. But you guys who do have a birthday during COVID, you get to say that you had this time. Like, everybody's not going to get to experience that.
No,
like, everybody's going to experience it.
Everyone is.
Everyone.
I'm November, and I'm like, well, guys.
And we did it big for your birthday last year, too. Yeah, we did it big. So,
I'm happy we both did. Like, well, I missed Jessie's because I was in Uganda last year this time.
Yeah. So
sorry.
It was so crazy because it was like Trudy was here and she was like, shout out to Trudy. She's my Belizean queen.
Shout out to Trudy, the princess of Belize. Hey.
Okay. There we go. So Trudy was here and she was getting ready to move to Belize.
To Belize, she sure was. We did a karaoke party. It was fun.
Exactly. So she was here and she was like, no, you need to have your party now. And da-da-da. And she convinced me to have it. I was like, but Ivana's not here. I said, can't you just stay for 1 more week? She's like, nah, girl. I got to see, because look, there's this concert, right? And so she wanted to make that concert and she didn't make it. But so that's why we had my party before you got back. But then I also thought, like, even if you had got back, you would have gotten back like the day of the party or the day before. You would have been. Oh my God.
Jet lagged.
Well, no, I did.
But you may have stayed up.
I did Brandy shower. Remember? I was jet lagged at Brandy shower, like a mug. That was good.
The only thing about my birthday party that I wish I had done was just let it go for 1 or 2 more hours.
Mm.
It was so bomb.
Yeah, it was mad fun.
bomb.
Even though life is not what it seems, people have still found reasons to be petty, right? This whole Meg Thee Stallion, Tory Lanez situation, which we'll save for another time. People were very excited to jump on that. They were also very excited to talk about the Smiths and their revelations about their marriage at the time, and August, the side dude Alcina, and everyone's new favorite word, entanglement. And I think at the time people thought that Jada was deflecting when she used that word, because Will was like, Jada, I think I need you to clarify what that means. And so they had to do relationship for the people that didn't know. But once people started actually posting the definitions of entanglement, I was like, you know what? Jada used the right words, just like Will used emotional girth at the end of the interview. Go back and check it. It was a powerful 12 minutes. You know, people had their thoughts.
Very short. It was perfect.
It was very short. And literally, and everybody was like, yo, usually these are like 40 minutes. I was like, I don't think we wanted to be a part of that conversation. We need 40 minutes.
We didn't need 40 minutes of that.
It's like if your parents, you like, I don't want to know all of those things. But anyway, what's entanglement? The definition, which the noun states the action or fact of entangling or being entangled, and then a complicated or compromising relationship or situation, which Jada and August were in. And you know, because Will and Jada's marriage was over by their accounts, and you know, whatever they do in their personal life really ain't none of our business, but it was a thing. And then of course entanglements became a thing. Okay. Everybody's feelings about it, which we won't get into, but you know, people felt how they felt about it. But we thought entanglements was important. That's an important thing to point out, because people find themselves in entanglements. And as someone said, entanglements are actually rich people problems, because some of y'all are in embarrassments, some of y'all are in situationship. It's like it was like a whole list of things. It was hilarious. I'll see if I can put it up. Maybe we'll post it if I find it.
You know exactly where it's
but yeah, man, it was a whole thing about entanglements, and it's a real thing. It happens to people all the time. It happens to people who are maybe not at that level. I think what people found out was Will and Jada are just as human as everyone else, and things happen, especially in marriages. That was my thing. I was like, as a married couple, that was mad brave to me. Like I was like, what happens in your marriage is really nobody else's business unless it's abusive or something like that. But I was like, yo, most people wouldn't have done that. So we just thought.
I was looking at Jessie's face.
Bring that up.
Because Tony,
her side eye, she been giving herself.
Yeah.
I know we don't judge around here, but we might get a side eye.
Might get a side eye.
Where I give myself a side eye when I hear the word entanglement.
Entanglement.
Because, you know, I find myself, I'll blame it on COVID. I mean, not COVID. I'll blame it on the stay-at-home order, being on lockdown, home arrest, and not being able to engage with other people and have a social life and be the social butterfly that I am. I found myself in an entanglement. Now, that is not, so people know, that is not saying this man got a woman and that's not an entanglement. Jessica just gave y'all the definition.
I just gave you the definition.
Compromising situation. And so that's what I found myself in. And it was compromising to how I choose to live my life and what I want for myself. And it was very funny because as it was going and happening almost before my eyes, maybe a couple seconds after, I was sitting here thinking like, yo, you just learned about all of this, and men are trash. You just learned about all this. You know better, sis.
Your bros just told you what to look for.
I mean,
your bros just pointed out it's gonna be like this: A, B, C, push one, and we're in. He told you the code. He gave you the cheat code, and what you do? You let somebody use the cheat code on you, girl. What the heck? You know, so I was just like, oh my gosh. I cannot believe that I'm in this situation. You know, and it wasn't no like manipulation of like conversations or anything like that. It just was something compromising than what I would usually go for on a normal day. I would not be having none of that. And I was just like, you know what, girl, you need to have more interactions with people if this is what happens when you don't. Or if this is what does you know. But I was just like, I cannot believe I found myself in this place. And mainly because our brothers had just talked about it on the previous episodes. You guys, if you haven't watched them, it's our men are trash. Let me ask my homeboy. And our homeboy just really gave a lot of stuff. And I was just very surprised that after picking up all those nuggets and all of that wisdom, that I would still find myself in an entanglement.
That's what happens. The devil be coming like, I'm a seed.
Entanglements.
Here it comes.
You might know.
It's real.
You may forget.
You gonna pass this test?
Right. And I feel like I failed it with flying colors. Failed with flying colors. But the great thing is, you pick yourself up and you go. You keep on moving. Just because you fail. You may stumble over a hurdle. If any of y'all ran track, them hurdles is hard to get over sometimes.
Yes, they are.
And once you get in your head, you will continue to fall over them. But you may hit one, get back up and keep on moving. And get it out of your head, because it's in your head that you can't get over it, right? But your girl done got up, okay?
Right.
And your girl
that's your shoulders off. And I think it's one of those things where like
back in stride.
Right, back in stride. And I think, we were talking about this the other day. It was one of those things where you were like, I asked you if you would have noticed some of the things or the patterns, had we not had the conversation with our homeboys, you know what I mean? And you were like, probably not, which is one of the reasons why we also want to do that series, because we said that most women talk to other women about men. They don't talk to men about men. So you have no idea, that people are running game on you, or, this is a hustle, or like, this is a thing that dudes are doing now in the group chat. Like they all talking about, you, or they, they got bets. Y'all all saw the wood. They got bets. Like, okay, let's see how long, this can go before something happens. Like if we open in the lines of communication between men and women so that there's just across the board understanding. Okay.
Right.
Unless you're trash and you don't want there to be understanding, because then you get to run game longer. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a matter of that happens. That's why I said, I was like, this type of stuff happens all the time. And we not, you're not married. So it's not like this is a August Alcinio marriage die type situation.
Right.
But, as a single person being in the house, things are different. You're navigating the world in a different way. I was like, it's a lot of people out here doing a lot of things
100%.
in the quarantine. Okay. So, you're recognizing it. But if y'all haven't heard Men Are Trash, go back, listen to it. I think it's good stuff, man. I think we've come upon some great nuggets and points.
Yeah.
Just for ourselves.
I can wait for the married men.
Man.
Oh my God.
It's gonna be so good. And it's challenged us to be able to like think through some things, talk through some things, hold each other accountable. And it was cool to have the single man's perspective, but now we want to get to some guys that have matured, or I shouldn't say mature, but are in their continual process of maturing and are doing it with wives and kids, which we've already discussed is a lot, particularly in the quarantine. So I think that, it was cool to hear dudes that are maturing in their singleness and the things that they're working on, but that thing looked different when you are responsible for human lives. And, depending on your relationship, your traditional roles and whatnot, the buck usually stops with the male. In our worldview, they're the head of household, not in a way that's abusive, but like in a way that makes sense. And so making sure, these are things to look out for. These are things to be aware of. And how do men make that transition, from being very single and very responsible for themselves to being very married and very responsible for other people. So we were curious. We don't know. So that's what's coming down the pipe.
It don't happen overnight.
Listen.
We want to hear about that process.
We want to hear about that part. we want to hear about when you was in your August days and you was figuring your stuff out. You know what I'm saying? Before you got it together. You figured it out, or you're figuring it out.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be very interesting because we're all again on a journey. We're all evolving and drinking our water and minding our business. Shout out to Sarah Jakes. We're recreating the world a little bit at a time. Personally, professionally, globally, economically, right? We just want to travel.
I just want to get out of
Are
here.
we ever gonna get on the plane again? So I don't know, people. Keep hope alive. Stay safe out there. Let us know what's going on with you. We want to hear from you. Hit the email address. Y'all know it's gonna be at the end of this. And let us know. Share some stuff. Let us know what's going on with y'all. Can y'all relate to any of our stories? We want to hear. We want to know we're not alone out there with everything that's going on. So hit us up. Let us know what's up. Love, light, peace to y'all. Be easy. And this has been the Intermission Podcast. We'll holler at y'all next time.
Bye.
We'd love to hear from our homies, so feel free to email us at intermissionhg, as in homegirls, that's intermissionhg@gmail.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at intermissionhg. Until next time, this has been A Break with Your Homegirls.